Well, tragedy has struck on the N9 road near Graaff-Reinet in the Eastern Cape, where a devastating road crash has claimed the lives of 14 people in the early hours of this morning. The collision involved a Mazda CX-5 SUV carrying 6 occupants and a fully loaded minibus taxi that was traveling from the Western Cape to the Eastern Cape. Emergency teams remain on the scene, working tirelessly to assist survivors and also clear the wreckage. To provide more details on the accident and ongoing rescue efforts, let's now welcome Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson, Mr. Unathi Binqose. Unathi, a very good morning to you. So can you please confirm the latest details surrounding this tragic accident, and are there any updates on the condition of those that survived?
Yes, we can confirm that it's sadly a total of 14 people who have died from this accident. Remember, initially we had reported that it's 13 people who have died, and a very reliable source, an officer of ours, has just confirmed to us that one of those who were injured has sadly succumbed to the injuries and passed on, taking the number from 13 to 14. It is a head-on collision that has resulted into the death of these 14 people. Another head-on collision. We've reported a few about those. Remember, only yesterday we were talking about a head-on collision that claimed 3 lives happening on the R61 near Bizana, and prior to this one, the terrible accident in terms of the number of fatalities was another head-on collision taking place on the N2 just outside Butterworth. In that crash, 4 people died, but this one, it dwarfs those crashes that we've reported about, and it's certainly not the best way to start a public holiday, a phase in our Arrive Alive campaigns that we know that is going to be testing for us, and is crucial in our bid to try and reduce the number of fatalities as compared to years gone by.
Unathi, you understand you're actually on your way to the scene and it's still an active scene, but what do we know so far about the actual cause of this collision?
Accidents of this nature are usually a combination of factors coming together, resulting into the crash. Of course, it's a head-on collision. That is the first indicator that is there. And a head-on collision always tells a story that one of the 2 drivers was on the wrong side of the road when the crash happens. But remember, when you get to Graaff-Reinet, traveling from the Western Cape to the Eastern Cape, you would have been on the road for no less than 400 kilometers. So fatigue is likely to be a contributing factor as well. It's likely to be a factor. And of course, issues of reckless and negligent driving come into question as well. But all those are subject to police investigations. Our crash investigators will be deployed to the scene to look for any clues, because it's those clues that will assist us to improve either the condition of the road or try to educate our road users about ways to try and avoid crashes like this. But we believe that head-on collisions are among those crashes that can be avoided. But head-on collisions, more than any other collision, are the ones that have claimed so many lives because of the impact that they have on the 2 vehicles, as you may have seen on the pictures coming from this crash scene.
Gruesome pictures indeed there, Unathi. Now, you said earlier on that there has been similar accidents of this nature on that very same stretch of road. Has the stretch of road then on the N9 been specifically flagged for such safety concerns in the past? And what other measures are being taken to manage traffic and also to ensure safety for other motorists, particularly in this area during this festive peak season?
It has been highlighted as one of those hotspots. It has remained like that for a number of years. That is why, in terms of the number of rescue personnel, they are deployed in numbers on that stretch of the road, as well as traffic law enforcement to try and keep the issue of visibility. But we've got to be honest with ourselves. We cannot win this battle alone. We need road users, you and I, to play our role to try in our endeavor to try and reduce the number of fatalities. That is why we are grateful for platforms like this. We get them under the circumstances, but there are a platform where we get to amplify our voice and reach as wide an audience as possible. Because as I'm talking to you now, there may be people who are watching, packing their luggage, getting ready to hit the road from Gauteng to Limpopo, Gauteng to Natal, Western Cape to the Eastern Cape. We want to call on you as well as a road user to please play your role. Be extra vigilant on the road. Be patient with one another. Do not overtake where it is not safe to do so. And the issue of fatigue, people tend to play down that a lot. And from the information that we've gotten from our traffic law enforcement, there's a tendency among those who are in the taxi industry to travel long distances for many hours without resting and relying on the so-called energy drinks to keep them going. We want people to refrain from that. The body will always need a rest, and you've got to afford it that rest. We are making a special plea to those in the public transport sector, because if we lose it there, we will lose a lot of lives. And up to this point, they've done very, very well, because we have not had many crashes that involve minibus taxis. And the moment that it happens, unfortunately, we are reporting about 14 people who have died from the crash. So we are calling on road users, motorists in particular, to play their role as well. And we put, a bit more emphasis on motorists, drivers, that is, because they have undergone rigorous training to get their licenses. We want them to go back to the basics and obey the rules of the road, but most importantly, to be patient with one another.
Unathi, road conditions as well as road infrastructure that is not, consistently maintained are often cited as the biggest challenges, particularly when you're looking at roads that are going towards the Eastern Cape. So what is the department doing to address all these concerns?
We will never downplay the impact of the road infrastructure on crashes, and the department, working with our national counterparts at the South African National Road Agency, we are working around the clock to ensure that our roads are in a good condition. And the accidents that I've just reported about are accidents that have happened on national roads that are fairly well maintained. The N2, the R61 from the Western Cape, as well as the R61 in Bizana, maybe not so well maintained that stretch of the road, but we are working around the clock to try and attend to those into the road infrastructure that is not quite up to standard. But a lot of crashes that we are seeing, I've got to be honest with you, we can share the stats with you as the public broadcaster. A number of crashes are down to what is called human factor, and not necessarily on the condition of the vehicles themselves or on the condition of the road at times, but it is how you and I behave on our roads. Speeding, overtaking when it is not safe to do so, those are the major contributing factors. But of course, we've got to admit that we are still lacking when it comes to road infrastructure, and we need to attend to that. And I understand that we are working around the clock to try and attend to those challenges. But the biggest responsibility lies with me behind the wheel to ensure that I do the right thing at all times and be a traffic law enforcement unto myself, and not only do the right things when I'm seeing traffic law enforcement officers.
Unathi, in closing, back to the accident scene now, are there any additional resources that are currently being deployed to support the families of the victims as well as survivors?
I know that government, as it usually does in the Eastern Cape, will pull all resources together to ensure that we offer the necessary counselling from to the survivors, as well as try the process. In fact, he commenced the process of identifying the bodies of the deceased and also try to get those closer to where they will be laid to rest. We expect that process to unfold. Our colleagues from social development will also move in to ensure that they provide the necessary support, and not only to the survivors and the families, but also to the first respondents, our medical rescue personnel, our traffic law enforcement officers, who are always the first on the scene and get to experience these gory, crash scenes that can have a psychological impact on them as well. So, and they will need to get a debriefing as well. So, social development and their social workers will move in to ensure that that service is provided to those who need it.
All right, I'm going to release you, Unathi. Hopefully we'll get an update when you do eventually reach the scene of the accident. That is Unathi Binqose, the Eastern Cape Transport Department spokesperson on the accident that has now claimed 14 lives near Graaff-Reinet in the Eastern Cape.